Verdict Form 5, abuse of a corpse, as to Maurice Gordon. We, the jury, found the defendant guilty.
A jury has found triple murder suspect Bryce Rhodes guilty of all 6 of his charges. Today, we'll learn if he'll spend life in prison. Rhodes was convicted of killing a man in front of 2 teens, then killing them when they told their mother about it. WHAS11's Alexis Jones and photojournalist Emma Gefter were there when the verdict came down.
After 3 hours of deliberations, the jury found Bryce Rhodes guilty of all charges. This includes 3 counts of murder, 2 counts of abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence.
Hello, Ms. Wren, would you like to speak?
Brothers Larry Ordways and Maurice Gordon's mother declined to speak. She and 40-year-old Christopher Jones's family plan to comment after sentencing. Each of them have been in the courtroom since proceedings began. Earlier, the defense rested its case despite not calling any witnesses to the stand.
It's important to remember what you actually saw, what we actually learned from the witness stand,
which defense attorney Tom Griffiths believes didn't add up to prosecutors' argument. Griffiths says prosecutors described the 2016 murder scene as monstrous and bloody. However, he says LMPD detectives didn't find anything until the second time they searched Bryce Rhodes' apartment. He also says witnesses remembered several adults were there when the brothers were killed, yet LMPD detectives blamed Rhodes. He says detectives lied about evidence, especially the back seat of Rhodes' car. It had been removed. It's where the teens' bodies were placed.
we certainly don't have a car seat. We don't have one in this courtroom. You never saw one. I never saw one. But the police, under oath, said we got a car seat.
Prosecutors argue all the evidence points to the defendant. Attorney Elizabeth Jones Brown says this includes Rhodes' blood-stained carpet testing positive for Ordway's DNA, and co-defendant Ja'Cory Taylor saying Rhodes was the mastermind behind the triple homicides.
And he talked about doing anything he did at the direction of Bryce Rhodes. He talked about Bryce Rhodes wanting to kill Maurice and Larry and killing Maurice and Larry, wanting to kill Christopher Jones and killing Christopher Jones.
Ultimately, the jury agreed with the prosecution's argument. In Louisville, Alexis Jones, WHAS 11, on your side.
3 co-defendants in this case, Tieran Coleman, Ja'Cory Lamont Taylor, and Anwan Carter, already pleaded guilty to the murders. Rhodes is expected to be sentenced in about an hour from now. And make sure to download the WHAS 11 app and turn on push alerts so you'll be notified as soon as we find out Rhodes' sentence. Well, Louisville drug enforcement officials are putting families on notice. Deadly fake pills are being marketed to teens more than ever before. It comes as drug overdose deaths have dropped in Kentucky, but we're told the threat of fentanyl, especially among teens, is increasing by the year. Senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez sat down with the DEA's Louisville division to talk about the latest trends.
The days of teenagers having leeway to experiment are effectively over. As DEA Louisville Special Agent in Charge Jeffrey Scott puts it, you now pay for it with your life.
Every time you're taking a pill, you're literally playing Russian roulette.
The presence of fentanyl
In 2023, we're looking at 7 out of 10 pills.
from the cartels is making its way into drugs of all kinds.
In cocaine, methamphetamine, marijuana.
It's becoming synonymous with death and pain for families in Louisville and across Kentucky.
The street corner is now your bedside. It's your phone. You know, particularly with our young adults who are media savvy, internet savvy, social media savvy, you know, their ability to order up fake pills and have it delivered right to their home, their dorm room, is a real change in some of the drug trafficking behavior and drug seeking behavior.
More now than ever before, the synthetic opioid is taking the lives of young adults at a rate the CDC estimates as up 182%. Less than a month ago, a 21-year-old Louisville man sentenced to 13 years in prison for distribution of fentanyl resulting in death.
Take me into a high school. What are teenagers being exposed to right now?
Well, I would say that teenagers are actually being marketed to. That's what we're seeing across social media and these other platforms.
The White House even warning school districts about the threat.
An attractive product, cartoon figures, cartoon names.
And urging preparation. In a sit-down interview, Scott telling me education is king.
And is it worth bringing up a fentanyl in a dinner conversation?
I think it is.
Saying these discussions between parents and their kids can never start too young.
And this year, JCPS expanded its effort to provide critical medical supplies at its schools. Now each school nurse has Narcan. Kentucky is getting millions of dollars to help fight the ongoing opioid epidemic. The funds come from a settlement with some of the nation's biggest drug manufacturers for the role they played in the epidemic. The money will be used to expand access to evidence-based treatments and resources. It will also help support community health centers, rural organizations, and emergency shelters across the state. Kentucky is set to receive $317 million from the lawsuit over the next 15 years. This morning, Mayor Greenberg announced where the reallocation of American Rescue Plan funds will go. He says it's headed to construction projects for parks and libraries. Last week, the council approved $25 million in ARP funding for renovations at 4 library branches and maintenance projects at various parks and community centers. Greenberg says Parks and Recreation will invest $10 million in deferred maintenance, and an additional $2 million will be used for upgrades to areas like the Algonquin and Norton pools, parking lots, and court resurfacing, and $1.2 million will go toward equipment as well as some desperately needed upgrades at Parks and Recreation facilities.
The more we invest in our parks and libraries, the stronger our parks and libraries are, the stronger, the safer, the healthier our cities will be.
Now, Metro Council approved the mayor's plan for the new use of the funds that were stripped from the Louisville Healthcare CEO Council. The funds were rescinded after Councilman Anthony Piagentini was found guilty of ethics violations connected to the money's approval. In what he's calling Forward Together budget, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is focused on education in the year ahead. He detailed his plan in last night's budget address. Beshear wants to put more than $1 billion toward an 11% pay raise for teachers, bus drivers, and other school staff. That would bring the starting teacher pay in Kentucky to just over $42,000. His plan would also put $172 million a year toward universal pre-K.
It's simple. You cannot give a child every opportunity if they don't have a teacher in every classroom. We won't have enough bus drivers unless we pay a better wage. And we cannot remain competitive with other states if we don't pay our teachers and other employees what they're worth.
Beshear also proposed raises for law enforcement and investments in their safety.
I'm proposing an additional $2,500 raise for all KSP troopers and officers, and enough new funding to add 150 more troopers over the next 2 years. I'm proposing $35 million to fund grants for body armor to protect our law enforcement officers and first responders.
In a move that would specifically impact Jefferson County, Beshear wants to fund 2 female-only juvenile detention centers. He also wants to fund the renovation of the Jefferson County Juvenile Detention Center. You can watch Beshear's full address right now on WHAS11.com. The man police shot during a traffic stop was in court after being in the hospital for the past several days. An arrest citation shows police first saw Marvin Smith at a gas station on Berry Boulevard, tying off clear plastic baggies. Police say when they tried to stop him, he ran off and pointed his gun at them. The citation says that one of the officers was heard at least 15 times calling for Smith to drop his gun before shooting him. He is currently facing a number of charges, including wanton endangerment of a police officer, fleeing and evading, and trafficking in a controlled substance. Today, he pleaded not guilty with his bond at $50,000. He'll be back in court December 28th. A Jeffersonville family is working to move forward after their home was destroyed in a fire. It happened at the East Lawn Apartments at 8th and Crestview Court over the weekend. Fire officials say 7 people, including a firefighter, were hurt. Firefighters helped the Henderhan family out of their apartment. They immediately rendered aid to Mom Rachel when they found her semi-unconscious.
I collapsed. I didn't make it to the bathtub. They found me laying in front of the bathtub with my back up against it in the middle of the floor.
Now, the whole family made it out, but lost everything they own, including their home. The Henderhans have started a GoFundMe. We've got the link for you on our website, WHAS11.com. Well, now to a new development in the case against former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll. Search warrants show he used taxpayer dollars to buy a vintage plane. The 1958 single-engine plane is registered to the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters, which is run by Knoll. Now, it's one of 2 planes records show Knoll purchased using Sheriff Department funds. They were filed under the Clark County Sheriff's Aviation Section, which he created. Excuse me. Investigators say the original owner sold it to Knoll with the understanding it was for his personal use. Knoll is currently facing 15 felony charges related to corrupt business practices, ghost employment, theft, and tax evasion.